Climate change. It has been around since the dawn of time. It shifts from seasons to seasons. But for the past years, the change in the climate has been drastic. According to National Geographic, climate change is a long-term shift in global or regional climate patterns. Often, climate change refers specifically to the rise in global temperatures from the mid-20th century to the present. What did happen around the 20th century that contributed to the human on adding more fossil fuels? People at that time shifted from agricultural life into industrial. Factory and more factory were built in order to equate the people's demands. The more factory rose, more farmers left the farmlands in order to work in these factories. Data shows that compared to the carbon production of humans in the 1800s and the early 2000s, there is a huge gap within them.
The climate is changing, but are you? Changes in the way you live your life, both big and small, can help you reduce your own personal carbon footprint and also encourage policymakers to act for the good of the planet. The greatest threat faced by this generation is climate change, because without a habitable earth to live on, what do we have left? But what can we do to tackle the problem? Wait for politicians to act and hope that they'll make the right decision before it's too late? Waiting certainly hasn't proved to be an effective solution, with words so far being followed with little or if any effective action. So it's more important than ever to take matters into our own hands. Let's talk about and let's start about first, we have to save energy. It might sound like the most original sounding tip around, but it's as relevant as ever. Saving energy not only saves you money, it also helps to cut emissions too. And second, avoid plastic wherever you can. Plastic is all around material par excellence and is therefore present in pretty much every aspect of our lives. But the durability of the material is of course also its most drastic disadvantage. We're struggling to get rid of it. Plastic has found its way pretty much everywhere, on streets, in rivers, on the beach, in cosmetics, in wastewater, in our clothing, even in the air we breathe. And there is also a close connection between climate change and our massive global plastic problem. Third, sharing is caring. If we own less and use more things collectively, we need to produce fewer things, and that saves on resources. Sharing cars, exchanging clothes, lending and borrowing tools, these are multiple different possibilities for collective consumption, and they're being used by millions of people worldwide. And last one, make sustainable investments. You take your money to a bank and they look after it until you need it. Wrong. Your bank works with the money and perhaps even supports the arms trade and environmental distractions. But also, there are also sustainable alternatives. Banks who are transparent about what happens with your money and where you can even decide where your money should work. And last one, protect our forests and plant more trees. It has long been known how important forests are both for the microclimate in individual regions and for the global climate as a whole. But we should not only focus on reforestation measures, but also stop the deforestation of huge areas at the same time. So you can make a contribution by limiting your meat consumption. Beyond that, You can also support international organizations that promote the rights of indigenous people living in the forest.
Climate change. Climate change causes a variety of physical impacts on the climate system. The physical impacts of climate change foremost include globally rising temperature of the lower atmosphere, the land, and oceans. Temperature rise is not uniform, with land masses, the Arctic region warming faster than the global average. More frequent and intense storm, heat waves, rising levels, and warming oceans can directly harm animals, destroy the places they live, and people, livelihood, and communities. Climate change worsens dangerous weather events are becoming more frequent or severe.
The effects of climate change are dry spell, storms, heat waves, rising ocean levels, liquefying ice sheets, and warming seas can straightforwardly hurt creatures, obliterate the spots they live, unleash devastation on individuals' vocations and networks. As environmental change deteriorates, hazardous climate occasions are getting more serious. So, it happens because of what people do in nature. People do not think about the outcome of their work in nature.
Human activities such as burning of fossil fuels are altering the climate system. Human-driven changes in land use and land cover such as deforestation, urbanization, and shifts in vegetation patterns also alter the climate, resulting in changes to the reflectivity of the Earth's surface, or what you call albedo, emissions from burning forests, urban heat island effects, and changes in the natural water cycle. You can also create videos, for example, short films, or any other videos. It can also be on advertisements, just to raise awareness. You can also have it on DIY flyers or bookmarks. You can also have it on vlogs when you're outside, or even if you don't have something to do. You can notice the changes around the environment. As a student, we can help spread awareness or help to address climate change in a way of spreading informations in other social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or any social media platforms. And lastly, you can talk to your friends or someone you're acquainted with, or you can either plan social gatherings, example, tree planting, and other things that may help us in the future. Things you could personally contribute to help solve the problem and impacts of climate change. Number 1. Reduce your electricity use. Switch off lights when not in use. Use LED light bulbs. Unplug electronics from the wall socket when they are not in use. Wash clothes in cold water and dry them outdoors when possible. Use solar energy panels. We could use the 3 R's: reduce, reuse, and recycle. Use. Buy only the food you need and compost your kitchen scraps and garden waste. Buy products without any packaging whenever possible, and always take your reusable bags to supermarket. Repairing products such as your clothes means they don't have to be replaced so often. Reuse. Swap your bottles and lunch containers for reusable ones. Donate unwanted goods such as books, clothes, and furniture to a charity shop. Recycle. Use the recycle bins in your area for plastics and glass containers that cannot be reused. This will reduce the amount of waste going to landfills and greenhouse gas emissions that result when new items are manufactured.
Here are some ways to help the environment. Conserve energy.
CFLs use up to 75% less energy than traditional incandescent bulbs. CFLs can last up to 10 times longer than incandescent bulbs, saving on production and disposal cost. These energy-efficient light bulbs produce less heat, saving on cooling cost. These bulbs cost less than LEDs. And you should turn off unnecessary lights. Unplug unused electronics like charger, electric fan, and lamps. Conserve water. Be sure to turn off your faucet tightly. Don't make it leak. If there are any problems with the pipes, be sure to replace it immediately. Water is our main source of life, so be sure to save it. Reuse, reduce, and recycle. Reuse. Reuse jars of mayonnaise. You can put your dilis, ginamos, or other preservatives in it. Reduce. Reduce the use of single-use plastic, such as cellophanes. Use eco bag if you need to go to the market. It is to reduce the carbon footprint. And also, if you are traveling, you can have a tumbler. Rather than buying the water on a plastic bottle, you can just stop over a ATM or a automatic tubig machine to have it refill. You can save money as well. Recycle. Recycle paper such as old books, notebooks, and newspaper. It can be shredded and dried to be used as arts and crafts paper. It can be used as art materials. You can also make it as a charcoal balls. Instead of using wood charcoal, you can use paper charcoal. Save your food scraps to be turned as compost. Rather than using fertilizers to make your plants healthy, use food scraps. Eggshells, banana peels, leftover rice, onion skins, and other scraps as well. You can put this in a bucket. You should shred it first and left it there for about 60 days. You need to mix it every now and then. When it becomes a dirt-like consistency, you can grab it and sprinkle it on your plants. It has the same effects as a fertilizer, but the difference is it is more natural.
Inside the school and grounds, green activities have been basic in schools and colleges since 1990s. A large portion of them have been presented as a method of saving or as a feature of natural schooling programs. They can likewise help decrease outflows locally. A portion of the kind of activities are tree planting, alternative transportation, proper removal programs, policies and works on in regards to green buying.